Welcome to chapter 6 of the book of Revelation. Chapter 6, if there was to be a theme, it would be an overview of the earth's destruction via a heavenly view, and it continues all the way through chapter 9. So it begins in verse 1, and it says, "And I saw," as John, "that the Lamb opened one from out of the seven seals." So here is I saw, John sees, and then he also, and I heard, he hears, is number 26, 25 and 26 of the 100 episodes of John. And so he saw this lamb that was slain open one from out of the seven seals. Well, a lamb doesn't have hands and fingers that can open something, so this is a figure of Jesus opening these, I believe. And the seals are the things that are going to occur from here through chapter 9. And on earth, from the beginning, I believe, until the New Jerusalem. This is an overview. "And I heard one from out of the four living creatures, saying as a sound of thunder," so it was just booming, "Come and see." I can't imagine what it would sound like, but it was like a sound of thunder. We know what thunder sounds like. And so come and see this giant sound. So it would definitely get your attention. And so, wow, he came, and he says, "And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and the one sitting upon it having a tocsin, a bow." Now, who was on this white horse? Doesn't say. And the bow, is having a bow. This is not a rainbow. This, as I was mentioning before, is a iris. Iris is a rainbow, but that was from the throne. It was an iris, but here is like a bow and an arrow. It's a hunting instrument and also a war instrument, battle instrument. It could be either ways. And so the one sitting on a white horse. White is generally purity, a pure entity that was sitting and having a bow, and was given to him a crown. So he was crowned to do a certain thing as a ruler, and a Stephanos. The crown is also given to people that are victors over the different games that the Greeks had, and they would be given this like a laurel wreath. It wasn't a golden crown as such like you would see the King of England, but it was a victor's crown, Stephanon actually, a wreath. If you just said a wreath, well, it doesn't mean a whole lot, but so it's a hard word to translate into English because we don't have such a thing. It'd be like wearing a Olympic medal or something like that. And he went forth overcoming, and that he should overcome. Went forth doing it then and overcoming. Now, it mentions, if you go into the one overcoming in our book entities of the book of Revelation, with overcoming, it has quite a bit about it. It's in page 43. In 43, it has the one overcoming was this place right here, and the overcomer would be the believer or the holy ones. In the one overcoming, in no way should he be injured from the second death, and on, the one overcoming. And then it goes down and it says, "And whenever they should finish their witness, the wild beast ascending from out of the abyss shall make war with them, and shall overcome them, and shall kill them." So here we have the beast going out and overcoming. And then 12:11, "And they overcame him, Satan, through the blood of the Lamb." Now, who was this? I don't know. Your guess would be as good as mine. You could say it was Jesus, or you could say it was overcoming, and they were going to do damage, where the rest of these seals seems like they are negative things that happen to the earth. So why would this one be positive? And I don't know. And this could be the beginning of this, as I said, a overview. So the beginning of it is God's giving the power to go out and to do things on the earth that would cause people to become overcome or to be overcoming. And then the second seal, we go through all these seals. I mentioned the seals, those little wax stamps that I have are like this, that are the seals. And I don't know if you can see that or not, and I hope it comes into focus. So the second seal, I tore apart, and it was by the second living creature. And now we got, in this one we have, he hears, in sees and then he hears. I hear in 6:3. Come and see. And went forth another horse, fiery, reddish, and to the one sitting upon it was given to him to take peace from out of the earth. So here it began as an overcoming, and to overcome on the general plane, we now have this next horse, whatever it was, a power to take peace from out of the earth. Well, that's you don't have to really go to war to cause damage. If you take peace from people, that they can't live in peace, are always being aggravated by something or some person or some act or something that they're watching. Could be TV, internet. I mean, they could take peace. The media could take peace easily from anybody they wanted to by broadcasting anything they wanted on the negative side all the time. And so this fiery horse, the fiery has to do with something hot and burning. Take peace. What? And the result is that they shall slay one another. Who is the they? Well, the people on the earth. And a great sword was given to him. So then after taking the peace, he's given a sword, and this is the makara, the Roman stabbing type of a sword, not the large broadsword, for stabbing, for doing damage, I believe. And then verse 5, we have the third seal. And when he opened the third seal, I heard, and there is the number 29 of the episodes of John. I heard the third living creature saying, come and see. And I saw, and behold, a black horse. Melancholy comes from that, melancholy. Zoo comes from this living creature. Zoe is a Greek. And the one sitting upon it having a yoke balance scale in his hand. Well, now the yoke, a balance scale, they use that in justice with the statue in the United States, I believe, and the justice has a scale where everything is balanced. If it's out of balance, then one person is getting something over the other, and they weigh things, and they had false weights where somebody's buying something. The weight that they put on this balance scale would be lighter than a pound, might be 15 ounces instead of 16, and the person, it would be 17, so it would show 16 where he's actually getting cheated out of an ounce, or vice versa. If you're selling, then you would gain. So he has this yoke balance scale, the balance of the things that are going to happen in the earth and here I would, from what it says here as it goes on, it seems like the yoke is used for measuring foods and goods and so forth. And it continues in verse 6, and I heard, and that's number 30 of the entities, not the end of the episodes of John. And he heard a voice in the midst of the four living creatures, and this is in heaven, the zone, saying, Henix is a measurement, and that's mentioned in, I forgot how much it is, 55:18. It's in the book, but it's a measurement of grain for a denarius, and 3 henixes of barley of a denarius, and the olive oil and the wine you should not harm. So this third seal has to do with, I believe, the economy of the earth. Buying, selling, it says, is going to come to an end in one day, and whoever controls the monetary system really controls everything on this earth anymore. They have credit cards, debit cards, and if you were selling product and they took away your ability to sell on the credit card, you'd go broke. You'd have your goods, but you wouldn't be able to sell them. So whoever has this yoke balance that this black horse had, the person on the black horse, and good reason it's black. And when he opened the fourth seal, I heard, now there is number 31 of the episodes, a voice or a sound of the fourth living creature, Zoe, saying, "Come and see," again. And I saw, and behold, a pale horse, chloros, could be a greenish horse, chloros, chlorophyll comes from that. And the one sitting upon it, his name was Death, and Hades followed after him. So it's obvious now. We know that this rider, this pale horse, is Death, Thanatos, thanatology, the study of death. And Hades, that is hell in the Latin, followed after him. So this is a bad situation for the earth. With this situation of when it's going to happen next, I believe, is the death, and could be plague. Thanatos is also used for plague. And Hades followed after him, and was given to him authority upon the fourth of the earth to kill by broadsword, and by hunger, and by plague. There's the Thanato, 2288, and up here, 2288. So whenever it's obvious that it's death, then the context, obvious by the context, then I use death. But when it's not so obvious and it has to do with other things that are bad, like here, the broadsword to kill and hunger, and then it's plague. And by the wild beasts of the earth. So this is going to be a thing that's going to happen on the earth, and I believe this is all it's in the future to where it was written for sure. It hasn't happened yet. So when it happens, I don't know. But anyway, this fourth seal was the fourth living creature. Now the end of the living creatures, and now we go into the next one, verse 9, and that would be number 33. He sees. John sees. Number 33 on the episodes of John. And when John, opened the fifth seal, not John, opened the lamb, I saw underneath the altar the souls of men having been slain because of the word of God and because of the testimony of the Lamb which they had. So now the death and everything on the earth is starting to get bad, and now we are still in heaven, and he sees underneath the altar the souls of men having been slain, possibly a view of the earth in a totality type of a thing where you see everything in a movie or a picture that has a panorama view. And they're slain not just because of war, but because of the Word of God and because of the testimony of the Lamb they had. And I believe that the earth is being set up for this carnage against Christians is starting right now. And this is June of 2017, and I can see the various entities coming against Christians. There was just a major politician in the United States who, a Christian, was nominated for a high-ranking position, and this person who was Jewish asked if he believed that if people that weren't Christians were going to be condemned and so forth, and it was a backhanded way of basically attacking the Christians because the Christians are doing what God has planned and what God says, but attacking the people is what is going to happen, and I see it happening, and this is what happens here probably on a greater scale. If this is after Matthew 24, where the Lord comes down with a trumpet and the angels come and take the people, the believers, from out of the earth, then the earth was going to be left with no Christians, but then yet the Bible will still be there and the Word, and the people that will see what's going on will know, and they will become possibly believers, and they'll be the ones that have to go through this persecution. Great persecution it will be. Better to believe in Jesus now, and hopefully, prayerfully, we will not suffer this type of a tribulation. They call it the Great Tribulation. Although we can face a lot of tribulation, even being believers in this earth. So, and then verse 10, and they cried out with a great voice, saying, and then this the people that were there were watching, how long, O Master, the holy and the true, do you not judge? Despotes, a despot. It comes from that word, Greek word. Do you not judge and avenge our blood from the ones dwelling upon the earth? How long is this going to take place? And they didn't like what they were seeing of all this carnage. And and white robes were given to each. And it was said to them that they should rest yet a time, until of which they should be fulfilled, both their fellow servants and their brothers about to be killed, as also they. So now we find out that these were people that were martyred, and they will be given white robes when they're there in heaven, and the ones that are going to be killed will also be given the white robes. Well, this leads to me to an interesting question, is that, well, if they can see what's going on, then with death and where we go afterwards, in the Old Testament, it mentions Abraham's bosom and the parable of Lazarus, the rich man and Lazarus, where Lazarus went to Abraham's bosom and the Lazarus went to Sheol or Hades. Then they could see what was going on at the other side, or at least the man that was in Hades could. And it was told they couldn't go across. But then when Jesus mentions the other Lazarus that died, and he went to raise him up, he says he was asleep, and he goes to wake him. And they said, well, the disciples said, well, if he's asleep, he's going to get better. And he said, well, he's dead. So Jesus, and it talks about the ones dying in the Lord will be asleep. So now, are the ones dying in the Lord asleep while this is even going on, and not even see any of this, and will rise at the end? That's what I believe. I believe maybe part of the people go through this great tribulation is, even though they have suffered all these bad things and they've lost their lives, they still have to watch what's going on. Another good reason why we should not wait and test God and think that, we'll be going to heaven eventually. Yeah, well, which way are you going to be going? To heaven. I would rather be going to heaven in a natural death, but yet if I'm martyred, I'm martyred, but I don't necessarily want to go through the great tribulation where God's wrath is poured out. It's going to be pretty terrible. And then in verse 12 is number 34 of the episodes, and I saw. And when he opened the sixth seal, the Lamb opens them, even a great earthquake took place. And this is a great earthquake all over the whole world. I believe the whole world is shaking. Now, why it shook, could it have been hit by an asteroid, which it talks about wormwood later? I think that's probably a good place. I don't think it was a natural earthquake within the earth, just a little shaking, but this was something big, and it says, and the sun became black as sackcloth made of hair. Now, if it was hit by an asteroid, then all this smoke, it would go up in the air, and you wouldn't see the sun. The sun became black from our view. And the moon became as blood from our view. So all this ash and everything that was going on, possibly from an asteroid, could have been a volcano, could have been a natural, I don't know. Could have been God just put his hand down there like a ball and shook it. I suppose any of these are possible. And the stars of the heaven fell unto the earth. So there we go. That could be what caused the shaking. As a fig tree casts its immature figs, being shaken by a great wind. So this something happened, then it hit the earth. These stars hit it, and all these things were going on. Sun darkening, moon red. And the heaven has been separated as a scroll being rolled. So a scroll had two ends of it. When a scroll is not on one spindle, it's on two spindles. The spindle here, spindle over here, and it wraps around and it goes over to this one. So when you unroll it, you go like that, where you're doing both hands and rolling it, and you roll it the opposite way. So somehow it's going to be separate. The heaven will be separated as a scroll being rolled. So we're going to see some type of a atmospheric condition that's going to be unheard of, unseen before in man that we've seen. And every mountain and island from out of their places were shaken. So it's every mountain, every island. It's the whole entire earth. And the kings of the earth and the great men and the commanders of thousands and the rich and the mighty ones, every bondman and every free man hid themselves in the caves and in the rocks of the mountains. So this is after the wars, the carnage going on. Then God shakes the earth and everything is shaken. And the people, there's no recourse. It's out of your control. God is in control of everything that's going on, and it's not pleasant. And they are all going to flee, and afraid, scared, and they're going to go wherever they can find. They think they can find a place that's safe for them to be, and they're going to go. And not only that, they'll be so terrible, they'll say, "Fall upon us and hide us from the face of the one sitting upon the throne and from the anger of the Lamb." Now, the one sitting on the throne is in the same as the anger of the Lamb. Well, I think it is. Like I said, I think it's a morph of Jesus into the Lamb, but they're one. That's my take. You can maybe see it another way. Somebody else could probably teach it a different way. For is come the great day of his anger, and who is able to stand? It's being shaken. You're going to be shook to the ground. And it's a great day of his anger. And the anger of God, the wrath of God, is not to be poured out on the just. Because Abraham went over that with God, and God was going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. And Abraham said, well, if there's, I don't know how many he started with, I forgot. 50 righteous men, would you destroy it? No. 40, no. 30, no. 20, no. 10, no. Now it went on down. If there was one, no, he wouldn't destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, even if there was one. So for God's wrath and anger for that great day, I don't believe the believers will be there, because one person that believes, he wouldn't pour out his anger or his wrath, which, as we see, it gets stronger and stronger. Chapter 7, now we miss one thing. If you have noticed, that is the seventh seal. And the seventh seal isn't broken until 8:1, chapter 8, verse 1. So the seventh seal is the chapter 7 is a continuation of what John has seen and what is going on. And we will get into that in the next video. And I hope you'll join us. And God bless.